the engagement? Where is the engagement? If there is CG, we can say there is engagement. If there is some extracurricular, we can say that there is some engagement. If there is a lot of Bhakti chanting 16 rounds, we can say there is engagement. But if nothing is there, where is engagement? And then there is no hobby, there is no inclination. That means what? A total lazy, confused state. That's all. And we will see that the general fabric is like that. In fact, the lesson which we can learn is that too much obsession about results makes a person numb. It is just obsession, somehow or the other I need to get that result. But then what about paying the price for it? No. That is obsession about result actually makes a person thoroughly confused in that sense. And therefore one is not able to really understand even what is the difference between action and inaction. These two are completely opposite things. These two are not the same thing. But the modern day world is such that there is confusion even on that scale. What is action and what is inaction? There is confusion even on that scale actually. So many times we see that, just that say for example, okay, I'll start with a devotee example. Say for example, in devotee life actually, the entire module of the morning program is a program for overhauling. Just like one takes a bath. So the purpose of taking bath is to become presentable, to do something in life, go out, do some activities. The purpose of taking bath is not to take bath, dress very nicely, pressed clothes, nice socks, shoes, polished, everything, go to sleep. That is not the purpose of taking bath. Similarly, the purpose of morning program is to become energized to do something for the pleasure of Krishna. But most of the times, most of the devotees, or many of the devotees, or some of the devotees, to make it a little more polite, for some of the devotees, life ends with the morning program. Life practically ends with the morning program. Because after the morning program, completely finished, fully gone, and then so day after day, again if one starts counting, what did I do? I did the morning program. It appears to be such a heavy thing. That okay, after the morning was finished, everything is finished in that sense. And then because after that, one has to rest and lunch and post lunch. By the time lunch is over, evening, and then and then just 1 or 2 hours, and then one starts preparing for the next day morning program. One has to sleep early. Is it that? Like that. One has to sleep early. So Rai Shabu says this very famous. 7 o'clock he puts a mat. The devotee. He's just wondering where it can be 9, and I'll just go inside and dive in and sleep. So practically speaking, So again, here there is a fallacy of understanding between action and inaction. Similarly, in a devotee's life, many times the unreasonable expectation is always there that because I am a devotee, everything in my life should go in a royal style. My material needs should be met in a king style. But this is not promised anywhere in Bhagavad Gita. So again there is a discrepancy here. That just because one is a devotee, what does that mean? Or sometimes we expect that okay, we'll sometimes just chant prayers, or and then think of an idea how to serve in the mission of the Lord, and we'll just execute that idea, and it should rock the world. Mahaprabhu's mission. And we take that idea and we start implementing the idea, we start rocking, like that. And then one is feeling, what is this going on? What is this going on? So again here there is a confusion between action and inaction. There is a colossal confusion in what to focus and what not to focus. So therefore, the point is that there is obsession of result. If this obsession keeps growing as a single pivotal focus or a single point focus, and everything else zooms off, then that is a very dangerous predicament. Because that is a predicament of utter confusion. Similarly, many times devotees, there are certain kind of viruses, it's like certain kind of viruses are prevalent in different regional areas and different types of communities because of different lifestyles. So devotee lifestyle is also like that. And there are certain kinds of viruses. Another kind of virus which is prevalent in amongst devotees is that one starts thinking that okay, whatever opinion has come from this direction, that opinion has to be somewhere in some Shastras. Some proper probes are required. And proper realizations are required for the devotee community to understand the grain of that. This is another interesting observation. Very interesting actually. Because what happens is that we see even on materialistic grounds, the whole world, how it moves is with an attitude to learn. Actually what happens is that material world also favors that, because material world keeps changing, the technology keeps changing, the fashions keep changing, the trends keep changing, the demands keep changing, the evaluation criteria keep changing, JEE exam patterns keep changing, the IAS syllabus keeps changing, the IES syllabus also goes a change, So everything keeps changing, and therefore one is reduced forcibly to be humble, and therefore one always wants to keep himself upgraded. So he may have turned 50, but still he is with the books, trying to figure out now what should be the pace. Because if one doesn't chooses a new pace, and he will be thrown off. Who cares? But in spiritual life, what happens is that things don't change. Therefore, even a little bit of thing a person has, he thinks, "Abhi ho gaya sir." Everything is done and complete. It just everything is done and complete. This is what is bhakti. This is what is the definition of bhakti. This is the way how Prabhupada mission will be followed, and this is the way how Mahaprabhu and Mahaprabhu Sankirtan mission will be followed. Again, the whole point is that there is. So we see that always a devotee or always a living entity, whenever he lands up into this dichotomy of where to focus, and if the focus on the result becomes too much and that starts creating an obsession, immediately we see some sort of lunacy appears in the mindset. It leads to some sort of lunacy. That means a person is not very clearly able to understand what is what. And that is where we made the statement that one is not able to really understand what is action and what is inaction. Action on spiritual lines, taking the formal example of, my opinion is the only opinion. Action in spiritual lines will mean motion on the spiritual curve or on the spiritual pathways. And that motion takes place when we improve upon ourselves. When we increase our efforts to show to Krishna that I really want your mercy. So there is a strong, so in that sense, what one lands up into a game of inaction, stagnation. Because one is stopped to learn. Because one is stopped to acknowledge. Other devotees' ideas, understandings, and therefore it becomes an obsession or it becomes a problem. Now the question comes is that, okay, that means okay we should give, so that means okay fine. What is the Lord telling therefore? So he says okay fine, the Lord is telling now ma phaleshu kadachana. Do not think of the fruits. So now the question comes is that for many people, result is a motivating factor. Result is a motivating factor. Suppose we go out to preach and we say, okay, Krishna is telling 247, ma phaleshu kadachana. Fine, I will just go and I will just speak. And whoever has to hear, who doesn't has to hear, doesn't have to hear. Ma phaleshu kadachana. Whatever Krishna inspires me, I speak. Ma phaleshu kadachana. But something more quickly experienced, quick results. Suppose the devotee in kitchen is going and cooking and he says, okay, 247, ma phaleshu kadachana. Do not worry about the results. Hari bol. So it will be very interesting actually. The outcome is going to be very interesting in that case, isn't it? And everyone be in adventure, So the question comes is that, what is the meaning of ma phaleshu kadachana? What is the meaning of ma phaleshu kadachana? That's important to understand. So the point is, so nothing is extreme in yoga. And therefore statutory warnings are only given for extreme stands. Only when there is an obsession of results, the confusion comes, the dichotomy comes, the laziness comes. But an awareness of results may be necessary for one to trigger himself. So the lesson is, ma phaleshu kadachana means that result should not be the only focus for an aspiring worker, karma yogi. Result may be one of the factors, but higher than that should be the factor of pleasure of Krishna. That means if we applied the studies, a student devotee student should be studying because that is what is prescribed or instructed to him. That should be the prime motivating factor. And if he does that, as a byproduct, he will get good grades as well. So awareness, okay, that yes, I need to plan for this level of grades. That is not condemned. That may be required. But then being obsessed about grades so much that one loses either the fabric of balance or one becomes extreme. So basically one becomes extreme or one becomes inactive. That is the problem. That is a problem. So this needs to be understood actually. So therefore basically, similarly we see that this term prescribed duties is also a highly misunderstood term. So on the first level, prescribed duties, so on the first level people say, okay, whatever I am desiring to do, that is prescribed duty for me. Very interesting. So generally as a thumb rule, if we apply, it takes 8 to 10 years of 10 years around of chanting 16 rounds to be able to understand what is our psychophysical nature. In general, it takes 8 years of 6 to 8 years of ashram life. That means around 10 to 12 years of chanting. To be able to really understand what is exactly psychophysical nature, and what is exactly inclination. So therefore, the whole understanding of what is prescribed duty doesn't have any ground, much ground, because prescribed means okay, psychophysical, is it not? What else? Because initially in Krishna consciousness, in general what appeals is sense gratification. So if we say this is my nature, it is not our nature, it is sense gratification. Is it not? Because initially what appeals is sense gratification, and that's all. Is it not? Yeah. It is something as simple as that. If we tell you, okay Prabhu, you can give a class, 200 boys are coming, or you can wash the vessels. So is there any question, what is psychophysical nature? What is inclination? What is proclivity? The whole driving factor is sense gratification. Is it not? So there is no question only what, who will choose. Is it not? There is no question of choice. Is it not? Right. Similarly, given a choice between a seva which gives immediate results, the results are already there, just little bit, or in comparison to another seva when a lot of work hard and not much glorification. So there is no question of asking about nature. It's all a calling of sense gratification. Is it not? So this is interesting actually. But this is an interesting principle to understand. Therefore, prescribed duty has to be properly understood. The concept of prescribed duty has to be properly understood. The concept of psychophysical has to be properly understood. Because according to the modes, therefore technically speaking, according to the modes, our body, illusory body shape is cut out. And the whole calling and basis and foundation of that is sense gratification. So therefore a sadhaka has to be very attentive. And that is why you see Prabhupada is explaining things here. You see what Prabhupada is saying here? See, routine work performed as an obligation in terms of scriptural injunctions without desire for results is action in the mode of goodness. So work performed as an obligation. So what is the obligation? That means instruction actually. That means instruction. Obligation means instruction in terms of scriptural injunctions. So that means the natural normal desire may not be in that direction. But that work we perform for the sake of obligation. Another misnomer when it comes to prescribed duties or psychophysical is that the drive of tendencies. Okay, given the drive of tendencies, just tendencies is not prescribed duty. Just tendencies is not prescribed duty. If somebody says, okay, I am a writer, I will just write. Just writing propensities is not prescribed duty. Or somebody says, no, I am a music, music flows in my veins and blood and everything, and that kind of personality. So just musical inclination is not prescribed duty. It has to be very clearly understood, because or one says, no, this is my nature, this is what suits me, this is what I have to do. Just saying that is not prescribed duty actually. An essential ingredient which has to be added to the psychophysical cutting or the psychophysical nature or tendency is that a clear pathway, that how from that point one goes to the point of Sharanagati, one goes to the point of Haritoshanam. That pathway has to be very clear. For oneself, for the devotees, and for the close devotees with whom one is working or with whom one is serving, like that. It has to be very clear. And it should also be sanctioned. This is an important principle actually. Because it's not that inclination. Because we will see, life is not binary. If we try to understand, life is not binary. And therefore we see that tendencies and proclivities are never binary. Tendencies and proclivities are never binary actually. And therefore we see that, this principle is there in Vedic culture also, because nothing is discrete in Vedic Shastras or in the Vedic tradition. Everything is like a continuum. It's like a flow of river. So you cannot discretize it. Okay, for understanding's sake it is discretized. Because otherwise how will you explain? Everything what we learn about Varnashrama is discretized for understanding's sake. Like we say mode of goodness, passion, ignorance. It is not discrete. One moment we may be in mode of goodness, another moment we go into mode of ignorance. Now we are chanting Hare Krishna and remembering Krishna and darshan is going on. Mode of goodness, pure goodness, Shuddha Sattva. Immediately a lusty thought comes, mode of ignorance, immediately. So one tosses apart from one mode to the other mode. And then we say, okay. So one tosses apart. Sometimes, but then there is a mixture actually which is there. So discretization is there for understanding's sake. That we can really understand what all factors are going in. Just like when we start learning a particular chapter, first we learn only one formula and that is it. And then we learn another condition, another completely different formula. And then later we learn condition, anything can be applied anywhere. Is it? Like first we learn AP, only AP problems we solve. Then we learn GP, only GP problems we solve. And then AGP, kuch bhi, right? And then summation of AP, GP, HP, and some plays, right? So we see this is how life takes place, or this is how life exists. And therefore we see nothing is discretized. So even psychophysical tendencies are not discretized as well. therefore one may have multiple type of inclinations. Generally, it is not that one is expert or one is throbbing for one type of thing only. One may be throbbing for many types of things, like that. So therefore, again, to get too much excited about one particular thing, no, this is the element in me. No, hold on. Peacefully hold on. Okay, let the element be there, you're also there, let Bhakti also be there, Krishna also be there, mission also be there, everything should be there. So clarity of vision is very important. And that is why this verse is so much misunderstood. Because no vision, no mission. Only commission. Only person wants to extract commission. No vision, no mission. Like that. So that's why this verse is highly misunderstood. So the aspect of prescribed duty in that setting has to be seen. And one has to be careful. Because we see, although the other principle is there as well, although psychophysical tendencies are slow to change, but the principle is that they are not unchangeable as well. The process of bhakti does bring about some or the other changes. And the other thing is that what grows is what we groom. What we groom, it grows. What we feed, it grows. Is it not? So therefore, whatever we want to groom, it has to be very clear to us that what is the pathway of Haritosha. And the priorities should never be lost. That is the principle. So just like the scene is quite simple, the scene is just like the scene of a government. What kind of government should be there in a country? Or no, who forms the government? What is 51% majority is the government? Is it? So if Krishna Tattva takes the majority quotient, then remaining thing, whatever it is called as Bhakti. But if that goes in the background and the remaining thing, whatever it is, that is called as Utpateva Kalpate. Utpat, it is called as restlessness. So this is an important principle to understand. So therefore everything has to be holistic. Nothing can be quantified in an unholistic fashion. Cooking prasad, very nice. Offering to the deities, very nice. But if 20 devotees staying in a setup or whole day engaged in just cooking and honoring prasad, utpat inside the belly. Is it like that? Similarly, fundraising, very nice, no problem. But fundraising, missing morning program, completing rounds at midnight, or utpat. Preaching, very nice. But preaching after 10 p.m. utpat. Is it not? That is, so this principle has to be understood. In a similar way, when we deal with matter, okay, psychophysical, one has to have the same matrix, that the majority should be Krishna Tattva. That needs to be answered. So therefore, the Lord is giving us a staircase. So therefore one has to be really very careful what is prescribed. And that is why So therefore, whenever we want to learn what is prescribed duty, what is my psychophysical, what am I supposed to do, what is holistic balance, the pathway to learn is following instructions. That's what the Lord is explaining here. That's what Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport. Duty is out of obligation according to Shastric injunctions means following the instructions. So by the practice of following instructions, we get to understand what we can do, what is our nature, what we are able to do in a balanced way, in a holistic way. And what actually the mission requires. And how actually the mission can be implemented. It's very important to understand this. So that is why now here the Lord is giving us a staircase. The Lord says, okay, initially what may be required, the first step is to do certain activity, results. That's required to get a kick to start doing something. The Lord says, don't remain on that staircase. Fine, you took the first step, you are ascended to one level of staircase, some activities are going on. Take the next level. The next level is what? The next level is, I am doing this thing for the purification of my heart. Purification. One principle. We may not like to do certain services, but we do it. Purification. And that's why you see Prabhupada in the purport so powerful. Prabhupada is categorizing prescribed duty into three parts. Routine work, emergency work, desired activities. Okay, desired activity may be to, desired activity may be to honor Prasad. Suppose, just giving an example. Feast Prasad. But to do that, routine work, do subjugating, do vessel washing, do cooking also. Is that not? Emergency work, sabji is not there. Cylinder is finished. Have some exercise and come back. This is not. Right. So prescribed duty involves everything actually in that sense. You see how beautifully Srila Prabhupada says. So doing things for purification.
Desire, my desire work or somebody else?
Our desire work.
Can you do something like this people must have desire?
Yeah, then that is following. So here Prabhupada refers to desired work is that one is doing, one is wanting to do himself. Desired work. Like for him, Arjuna, he was not desiring to fight. The calling was not, whatever, Now you see, now we can analyze Arjuna's situation after hearing this much of philosophy. So what Arjuna is portraying? Arjuna is, externally is portraying that, okay, this is not my element. It's not my nature, I am a soft man, it's not my nature to be like this. To fight, to kill and all those kind of things, You can give this seva to somebody else. Very good. So that is the external. But you probe deeper, as Lord Krishna himself fluffs up, in the conversation what comes out, if you probe deeper, what is, externally it appears to be nature, but internally what it is a drive of sense gratification. That's what Arjuna quotes as one of the reasons. What about my enjoyment? We discussed about it, right? What about my enjoyment? How will I enjoy? So sometimes the pose of being a very goody man, Hari Bol, may also be drives and gratification. Okay, I want to be clean sheet and I don't want to get my hands on dhoti dirty. know what to do, material world is a dirty place. But then, so that may also, so inside what is triggering is a drive of sense gratification. And mind it, this drive of sense gratification is so ghastly that Arjuna, proper speech, we have first chapter we discussed about it. Arjuna, noble soul, and Prabhupada glorifies him. This is nothing. That you see the noble soul, a noble quality like compassion is coming in a noble heart. And Arjuna, noble soul, he has a good proclivity, but sometimes these desires and drives of sense gratification are so strong, they engage these good proclivities also in a wrong direction. So it was compassion, but misplaced compassion. Misplaced compassion. So overwhelmed by attachment. Attachment is another transformation of sense gratification drive. When the drive becomes, for sense gratification becomes too intense, it's called an attachment. So Arjuna, on that drive for when the desire for sense gratification becoming too high, even his good nature or his good architectural layout, that good disposition is being used in a wrong direction. So very dangerous actually. And this is, that is why one has to be very careful. Just like, somebody very enthusiastic, but if he gets deviated, he'll create a lot of damage also. This is that. Right. Somebody powerful preacher, उसका थोड़ा घूम गया तो powerful damage also. The way a person can guide, the way he can misguide also. Very interesting actually. The principle is very interesting. Therefore, one has to be very cautious. And that is why one should never dare to invest only in desired activities. Prabhupada desired to preach to Indians. But he picked up his suitcase with the trunks of Bhagavatam and he went to US. Every now and then Prabhupada desired to come back to India. For the first 1.5 years the preaching had not started and taken shape. Prabhupada desired to come back to India. But every now and then he will think, desire, and he will turn and start his duties. Very important principle to understand. So that means that when desires are dragged on the pathway of instructions, then those desires get purified and purified. So much so that those desires will, whenever they manifest, they will have a very powerful impact on the world. So therefore, yes, we see, yes, the Lord says that, okay, the next staircase for purification, and then the third staircase is what? For pleasure of Krishna. That is the next level of the staircase. So we go further. The third principle here, ma phala, karma phala hetur bhu. That is the third principle here. So this is another level of detachment. Do not think yourself as a cause. The activity. Now person will say, what is it, Like somebody gave a class, and 1,000 people, 500 of them took beads, started chanting. Next day Mangal Arati, 200 people turned up, And very soon, congregation, boys, youth, everybody, preaching has started, people taking renounce, And now it is said, Prabhu, you are not the cause for whatever is happening, Someone will say, sharam karo. कुछ तो मेहनत तो कदर करना चाहिए. Isn't it? At least acknowledge, if not reward. Isn't that? At least give space, if not acknowledge. Quite disregard. So the principle here is that, now it's an interesting principle. Again, we have to understand yoga, nothing is extreme. We see all these 4 points are coming together. They are not spoken as separate chapters, separate verses. Everything has to be balanced. So what is discouraged is the obsession which one gets that he is the only cause, the whole and soul and be all and end all. That is discouraged. That is discredited. So what should be the understanding of a sadhaka? Just like, what happened is that I remember very early we had come to Krishna consciousness and we happened to do a drama. Mahamurka drama or something like that. Radhesham Prabhu liked it so much. He said, oh, what a acting. You come to Pune, you perform drama, all our Pune devotees will be so happy with that. I was in second year, very young, chanting, few rounds. And I was quite excited about it, like that. But then you went to Pune and this and that, and Radhesham gave some opportunities for dramas and camps. Everybody was glorifying and some people were telling, Prabhu, so many years have passed, I just cannot forget that drama which you did, and that particular role and this and that, and I remember, so Gaur-Sundar Prabhu was there, and then Gaur-Sundar Prabhu, in discussion sometimes he would say that, okay, you are very good in dramatics, yes, like that, and then I would say, no, Prabhu, no, like that, no. Like that. So one time he chastised me. He said, what is this? No. He was literally chastising me. He was telling, what is this? No. Like that. If you have some skill in you, now admit it, use it in service of Krishna. What is this? No. False humility. This is also false ego. So I learned a lesson that day. The principle is the same which is being spoken here. That person understands that yes, okay, I did some endeavors from my part, but I was not the only factor responsible for bringing about that change. There are many other factors beyond my control and beyond whatever I do. That. I was not the only factor involved. Just like sometimes, a person may be a very good speaker, but that does not mean that the audience will be ecstatic. There are many other factors you have to be involved. कौन से टाइम पे क्लास किया जा रहा है, that is also important. If the time is 1:30 p.m. and the class is going on for the next 2.5 hours, no matter world class speaker, nobody, people are going to be ecstatic, People are going to be quite restless in that situation. So there are many factors. Suppose the class is after prasad. Prasad ka menu kaisa tha, that is also important. Suppose the prasad fell short, people are still hungry, mismanagement took place, and something was cooked and people realized that it is spoiled preparation, they could not eat it, nothing else was there, whatever. And after that you put a class and you are talking about Krishna's mercy and sweetness of Bhakti, समझ में नहीं आएगा, isn't that? So setting is important also. Okay, if it is an AC hall, everyone has had a nice feast and they enjoyed it, and nice rest after that, and then they are gathering and then they are drinking juice and along with that classes going on. Even if the speaker is not dashing, everyone is ecstatic. Isn't that? So the point is that, therefore, very interesting actually. So just like now we are taking this gross example, the subtle example of situation is also there, isn't it? Suppose somebody has not read and heard, for a long time, he is quite blasted, because of services and all that. His mind is reeling, his head is aching, He has some fights with devotees. In that setting, he is coming and sitting, Whatever you speak, it will not have much impact, isn't it? Somebody is ecstatic in Krishna consciousness, and he got powerful association, he's coming after camp, lot of mercy, lot of instruction, lot of revelation, lot of acknowledgement, whatever. No? Anything you speak is being said. So one is not the only controller. That is the principle. That it is not that only because of my powers or my this thing, the world is moving or things are happening. And that is the principle being explained here. Ma karma phala hetu. So the point is that even materialists acknowledge this principle. But Chaitanya Janpuk is an interesting example. He says, he is the example of cricket. He says cricketers. So so he was telling, an interesting example. So many world-class cricketers, champions, great leaders, masters in cricket. Each of them have their own kind of, what looks as superstitions of how things should be, what is good luck, what is bad luck, in what setting they should come and play. And many of them are quite meticulous and quite fussy about that thing should be there. Like there was one world-class cricketer, and whenever he would go for betting, he had to have a red handkerchief. And that red handkerchief has to be 1/3 out. And time to time you'll see if it is 1/3 out means good luck. He'll hit it. If it is completely inside means not so good luck. If it is completely gone, it's not so good luck. 1/3. Another cricketer, before going for the innings, descending on the playground, he would make sure that in his wherever place he's staying, all the washroom commodes, they have their lid closed. If lids are closed, bombastic. And when he would be playing, he would appoint some special servants to do that, to ensure that lids are closed. To ensure that the commode lids are closed. Very interesting. Now one may say it sounds ridiculous. It sounds ridiculous. But these have been champion cricketers in the history of cricket. Very interesting actually. And many other examples we hear that sometimes some people, they only come in a particular, like some people come, wearing something in the hand, वही color का वही brand चाहिए उनको, and that only, is what they need. Some people will wear one earring only in one ear, वही चाहिए उनको, and that is their, luck which they are carrying along with them, and all kinds of. And some people have their own calculations that, okay, according to Tithi, this is the number at which I should land, So there are all kinds of heuristics, and all kinds of superstition people follow. The principle is what? The acknowledgement. The point is that each one of them are acknowledging that they are not the only cause. And they have their own, fancy or, unique ways of acknowledging them. That is the principle. Ma karma phala hetu.
One is doing good, and should say that I am doing good. But what if everything is collapsing? Right? Everything is bad, nothing bad happening, and the other negative things what should be.
Okay, so what to do when everything is bad? Okay. Everything is collapsing. Everything is collapsing. Continue. Good and bad are not very different from each other. It is one direction bombastic results and another direction bombastic results. Isn't that? Right? Isn't that? It's like, very powerful, very delicious preparation. Everything is finished, 100 devotees are waiting, Only 60 devotees took and everything is finished. And another 100 are waiting, completely ecstatic, ready to give all blessings, you know. So that's one kind of situation. Another kind of situation is that, too much ecstatic preparation. Like that, 160 devotees took, still more than half is remaining. And everybody is ready to feed that to us. You know? You take it. You know, both the results are not much different from each other. Again, both give some ecstatic experiences. Isn't that? So good or bad is not much different from each other. In that sense. So that is why the Lord is telling, don't worry, keep doing it. The focus has to be on endeavors. So evaluate, learn from it, again. Learn from it. Good or bad, whatever is the learning, learn from it. Correct yourself. Focus on action. That praise comes, insult comes. Both are not much different from each other, because both are intoxicating. Both are intoxicating. Praise comes, then we feel, I am a rock player. Again, like that. Just like you see, material world, it happens sometimes. People initially they work very hard. Just like doctors, they work very hard. They are really with the case of the patient. They are studying their books. They are practicing. They are churning themselves. They are figuring out what disease, what medicine, this, that. And then something start clicking, and some people come and glorify. Chad jata hai, And after that, no books, no preparation, no contemplation. Again, only administration. Again, they think they expert. You've seen many times, many pharmacy outlets, many hospital outlets, they open like this. Initially, rock performance, but then they become very famous. Then they're not putting their hearts. Anything and everything is being given. So you see, the performance goes down. So basically, both are intoxicating. And both lead to inaction. One is inaction because of pride, because one thinks I'm too smart. And initially when devotees start preaching, so much effort they put, oh, what should I speak, people should evaluate this, that, how to follow up, how to speak this, that, this. But some results, some glorification. The person thinks, no, I should just sit down and 150 boys should sit in front of me and give a lecture, they should become devotees. So it's like, both are leading to inaction. Is it? One is because of pride and intoxication, and another is because of distress and depression, isn't that? Right? Not much different from each other. And that is why the Lord is telling, do not worry. So it is not that the result aspect we completely cast off, because we need to learn in terms of results. To rectify our activities. But having done that, keep doing activities. That is the principle. So inaction is a diseased condition, actually. Many times we will see that. I don't know whether you have had this experience. I have had this experience that many times, too much of dreams or aspirations or desires lead to a sort of numbness. You become numb, not able to do anything. Because one is just looping into desires. कि ऐसा कर देंगे तो इतना मिशन हो जाएगा, ये हो जाएगा, वो हो जाएगा, वो हो जाएगा, वो हो जाएगा. And in that, it saps away so much energy, person forgets. जो हाथ में वो तो करना चाहिए. So this point is important actually. This principle is important. Sometimes what we may have in our hand is a handful of people whom we can take care, whom we can, try to serve and help and please and guide and whatever. But in the matter of in the pursuit of sometimes reaching out to the world, इधर तो मिलता है somewhere, one forgets to take steps. So nothing wrong in aspirations, but the point is that whenever we realize that if again aspirations become an obsession, it leads to numbness and inactivity and inaction. Or sometimes we say, okay, if this problem is not there in my life, then I will practice. What seva I will do, what sadhana I will do, what kind of bhakti I will do, no? But if we ask, okay, अभी क्या है? नहीं, अभी तो बहुत परेशानी है लाइफ में. This problem, this particular adverse situation, this has to be set right first. So the principle is sometimes just expectations and aspirations we get lost, and expectations and aspirations do not take us anywhere. Expectations and aspirations may be required to just choose the pace of our activities. But we have to be very careful as a sadhaka that expectations and aspirations should not make ourselves inactive. And if it is making ourselves inactive, better we go step by step. Like sometimes the desire may come, okay, I will just open 1,000 crore temple here in Calcutta for Prabhupada. No? Nice, wonderful. Prabhupada said let there be unique preaching in Kolkata. But then now suppose now okay, fine, granted. We are the project manager and in charge president, GBC, everything of that 1,000 crore project. Now what is the next step which you have to take? So now when you start thinking, okay, next step क्या है? फिर next step क्या है? Where is the land? Where is the temple? Where is the 1,000 crore? Where are thousands of devotees coming in there? What is the next step? So if sometimes dreams, aspirations, psychophysical, cherished, whatever, leads to numbness and inaction, then we should simply get up from our 1,000 crore seat, and go to some senior and ask, maybe, is there any service for me? And he will say, हाँ ठीक है, तुम क्या करो, चपाती बना. लेट हो रहा है, चपाती बनाओ, फास्ट बनाओ. माते संगोस्तु अकर्मणि. श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय. So we'll continue tomorrow morning, 7:10. Hari Bol.
Subject, for example, somebody is very interested in computer science, and he is very totally intoxicated by it. As soon as he thinks of like that subject, it's like he's into it.